A citywide manhunt is underway for the suspected vigilante Aiden Pierce. Engaged in several bold interventions, Pierce has divided the city, with locals praising his actions while Chicago PD forcefully condemns them. Police have issued surveillance footage and warn that Pierce is armed and dangerous. Do not attempt to engage. If you see this man, call authorities at once.
Ladies and gentlemen, to talk about Watch Dogs from Ubisoft, please welcome Creative Director Jonathan Morin.
We're really excited to be here today. Last year's E3, we had an all 10 minutes demo for you guys to discover Watch Dogs for the first time. This year, it has everything to do about new game dynamics. You know, there's countless ways to define next gen. For the Watch Dogs team, it has to be new gameplay. Like, you know, when you're playing a game, your brain is extremely active. It tries to make split decisions to fix problems. The only way to make you feel through the controller that the game feels new is to convince your brain that there's new possibilities, that you need to start considering them at a split of a second constantly. That's why you can hack everything in Watch Dogs. That's why you can do it easily on top of driving, on top of fighting with guns, on top of fleeing or doing parkour in the environment. That's how we pulled it off. In today's demo, we're going to focus on Aiden Pierce, who needs to save a friend called T-Bone. T-Bone infiltrated an apartment because he needed to steal some important information. Fortunately for him, he tripped an alarm, a silence alarm, that's been detected afterwards. So fixers are coming his way to kill him. We join Aiden Pierce as he's being in a situation with the cops. They're closing on him. And he receives a call from T-Bone. But if he needs and hopes to help his friend, first he's going to have to escape them without detection. So without further ado, let's introduce Pierre-Yves Savard on stage, who's going to be performing for you tonight. Now keep in mind, this is a very difficult job. Like, it's a non-scripted demo. Like, the entire game is open to your interpretation. We really want to make sure the player can approach things, all the different possibilities he wants. It needs to be instinctive with him. In the case of today's pat, a bit like in the Sony stage, we want to show you the most exotic, without moving, subtle ways of fixing problem in a new way, Watch Dogs style. Let's see how PY is going to approach the situation. Interesting. While we're trying to get it out, like, I'll talk a little bit more about it. One of the reasons why hacking is simple in the game, a lot of people are asking that, how does it work tangibly in the controller? You simply look at something, and if you have the tool, you hold the button X, and it basically unlocks it. Like, so you can actually hack stuff that easily. It's not because we don't want to challenge players to hack stuff around. It's because it's fairly important you can do it in any situations. You need to be able to do it while you're fighting. You need to be able to do it while you're driving 200 miles per hour. That's why we have those elements all combined together in such a way. Now let's see if it works. Oh, that's fine. We'll figure it out. Who here saw the demo at least once on stage? Oh, interesting. So you guys hopefully gonna see it for the first time if it managed to work. We have another demo at the booth, by the way, if you guys wanna go in line and see it. At the Sony booth, we're showing this one. At the Ubisoft booth, we're showing another demo that focuses on the open world and have a little bit of a surprise in terms of online as well. So if you guys want to see that, you're welcome. Now let's talk a little bit more about Aiden Pierce. You guys are lucky. I'm going to throw you a bunch of information you're not supposed to have. Aiden Pierce is a man that is obsessed with surveillance. So let's call it an overprotective man. Something happened to his family in the past, a retaliation hit based on stuff he did. He never forgave himself for that. So what happened is he started to be overprotective with his family, to the point of obsession where they were like, kind of back off a little bit, you're a bit creepy. So he ended up monitoring them 24/7 without them knowing, to not break his relationship with them. The game kind of starts in that situation. So what's going to happen is Aiden's going to slowly explode this obsession as problems shows up his way. It's going to start with monitoring a house, then an entire district. Then he's going to work out the entire city of Chicago. So as the player, you're following Aiden Pierce's journey, and at the same time, you're accessing the information of everybody around you. That means that you're going to be the one living this vigilante, like, justice thing. Like, you know, it's a tragedy to be a vigilante. You're starting to confuse your own drama, or Aiden Pierce's drama, with the drama of everybody else. So as you go in the world, and you'll see in the booth if you come, you can tackle any sort of thing that are other people's lives. And that's how we can create this interesting conflict between who Aiden Pierce is and how he evolves in the game through gameplay. And now I'm alone. Let's dance a little bit. Use this. Another thing I might talk about is you guys have saw, is anybody here saw anything gameplay-wise in the last year about Watch Dogs? Scream a little bit if I want to know. Okay, okay. So you might have saw that in the game we have one of those like slow-mo thing that the player can activate. There's a lot of question about that, so I might as well answer it. It's not necessarily been designed as a bullet time type of thing. It is definitely a side effect of it. It's cool to put in slow-mo and be able to aim and everything. But it's a tool that we've put together to make sure that when you drive at 200 miles per hour, you can still feel like this smart guy who can make split-second plans to, you know, to save his ass. So if you have 6 cops on your ass and you're driving very fast, you can still press that button and make a plan of your own, like hack a traffic light, take down 2 guys, have another one with the bollards, and at the end you just jump a bridge that you open for yourself and close for them. But that's the kind of thing you can pull off because you have this tool. So everything has been taught so you can feel like the smart-ass Aiden Pierce as you play mechanically, and not just something that we propose to you with a simple, like, you know, like a simple narrative thing. It needs to feel real. The same goes in the open world. If you wander around in the streets and start, you know, like intervening in certain people's lives, if they don't want you there, if they start like fleeing, like it's all systemic. It means the guy can flee and make decisions of his own. It's a bit like, if I would put it together, it's like when you're playing chess, right? The game of chess, if you don't understand it, kind of suck ass, right? Like you're sitting down there, you don't understand what's going on. You're trying to make things positive. You're trying to win the game and you don't know the opportunities. If someone teaches it to you and you understand more the possibilities, then you analyze a lot more of the possibilities as you play and it becomes richer. That's kind of the same thing when you play Watch Dogs. When you start running after someone and you realize he can decide to take a car and leave and call his friend at the same time and it turns to an entire nightmare, you start considering that as a possibility when you follow him. You think differently. You envision the different possibilities differently, and that's how you can get to the point where the game feels different for people. Let's see what can I say other than that. In terms of progression, if people are wondering how you get your abilities, it starts in the world. Like if we're selling the fantasy of monitoring an entire city and hacking everyone, you need to work to get there, and it needs to make sense too. So you're going to need to go into specific places to hack and install backdoor in there, unlock connectivity on all the districts of Chicago and making it happen. Ah, there we go.
Squad, we're searching for the suspect now.
So I guess PY is backstage.
Hi. Anyone seen him?
T-Bone.
I don't want to cramp your style, friend, but I picked up some chatter, and I think this kid's got fixers on me.
Shit. All right, hold on. I'm being tracked. Once I lose him, I'll come for you.
Yeah, all right. Make it quick, baby.
this situation is it's a pretty popular situation in our game. Anytime you lose line of sight with a cop, they're going to turn into search mode. You can always turn out your engine and hide into the city. We really want to brought the subtle driving that makes sense when you know you drive against cops and all of that stuff. In a way, it's our way of not insulting your intelligence and bringing something more to the table than just automatic detection. But when you do get detected, it gets pretty hardcore. So in a completely dynamic way, we're making sure that you can always break line of sight against the cop. And then you can hide and outsmart them this way. Why are we doing those kind of subtlety in the mechanic? It's quite simple. We're selling a very smart man, a street smart guy, Aiden Pierce. You need to feel it through the mechanics. If we're not doing that, we're not respecting what a vigilante means. You need to be a guy that wants to avoid attention to himself, or at least if you're that kind of player.
A citywide manhunt is underway for the suspected vigilante Aiden Pierce. Engaged in several bold interventions, Pierce has divided the city, with locals praising his
911
actions.
state your emergency, please.
Hey, I'm freaking out. I saw.
Kill it, now!
Hello, I need you to stay on the line.
Hey, why are you doing this?
Now in that kind of situation, we're used to see a guy draw a gun and shoot people in the face. That's not the only way of dealing with problems in Watch Dogs. Since you're not a criminal by default, but more a vigilante, that you're going to define yourself which kind it is. We really want to make sure you can apprehend people without violence. If you point a guy at that guy and you shoot him in the face, other people have found. It's going to start going crazy. People will call the cops anyway. So you need to deal with the situation differently, especially if you're a guy who cares about those things. Another thing you can do when you can profile everybody and hack everyone is you can access the Wi-Fi free service that CTOS is giving to all citizens of Chicago. The side effect of free Wi-Fi is that it's pretty shitty security. But actually, there's quite a bit of vulnerabilities inside, and PY is going to hack it and exploit it to see where T-Bone is and what kind of situation he have in his hand.
T-Bone.
Look at this, brother. That prototype shit I ain't never seen. I'm in love.
T-Bone, wrap it up.
They sound cranky.
Forget the toys. We gotta get you out.
Oh, shit. Sorry, princess.
Now, a cool thing about bringing narrative while you're spying on interiors is you still have control of what you do. You can act stuff to attract people elsewhere.
Move.
You can give instruction to T-Bone to make him out. So everything that follows is completely gameplay. It's only one way of acting in a Protect VIP in Watch Dogs. So in this version, you could just climb the stairs, take your gun out, and kill everyone with T-Bone on your side. You could stealth your way through, doing stealth takedown and with T-Bone as well. Or you could use cameras and just silently give him instruction to get him out of trouble. Or you can just combine everything if you want.
Son
of a bitch. I'm stuck.
Don't move until I say.
10-4, brother.
Move.
10-4, brother.
Move it.
You got it.
You find what we need in there?
Yeah. Default didn't expect us to find this romper room. I got what I needed to track him. Don't you worry. We're getting closer to your sister.
Now, go. Let's go.
Jesus. What can we even do with a shorter rope?
That one's got to
All
hurt.
right, you're good. Go.
I owe you, Aiden.
All units, this is Squad. We have a possible sighting on Aiden Pierce.
Now what Sheriff is doing right now is asking for help because the cops are coming. This is just a signal we send to any mobile device that have the CTOS mobile device on them. So with this, anybody in the bus can accept and in real time help TY get out.
Our control system is scrambled.
So right now the chopper has been hacked and all the bullets that are activated there, they're all doing that Clad is doing right now, using our tablet in real time to help TY escape. Even the little message in the background are doing. But of course, when Aiden Pierce gets cornered, he still have to deal with the situation himself. We simulate the entire electricity of the entire city. That way, you can act it, and you can create systemic blackout in the entire city to escape and do a whole bunch of other stuff.
Squad to all units, we have additional officers moving to intercept. Positive confirmation on the subject as Aiden Pierce.
Thank you very much, guys. And keep in mind, all of that was just one possibility. If you don't ask for help, nobody will join in your game, and you're gonna have to figure out the problem yourself. You could go gun blazing, stealth, hacking, or a combination of the three. The amount of possibilities in Watch Dogs are just unprecedented, and we can't wait to show you more and to put the game in your hand. Thank you very much for your attention, and have a nice C3.
Give me 4 seconds and a clear signal. I'll get in, and you'll never know. But I want you to know. You're not anonymous. I've seen your kind before. Mistakes. Hurt people I love. All because of men like you. You think you're untouchable? I'm here to shatter your illusions.
Hey guys, we are back with Jonathan from the Watch Dogs team. Great demo we just watched. Super amazing. Very excited for this game. I have so many questions because every demo that you show seems to highlight almost a completely different skill set. And so my first question, I think the question on a lot of people's minds, how much of this is an action game? How much of this is a hacking game?
That's a great question, actually. It's pretty much the player who's going to answer that ratio, actually. You know, when you make a game that open, the key element is to let the player express himself. Like, I think it's a lot more engaging, or at least it's a personal thing I believe when I play a game, when the player figures problems by himself.
Yeah.
When we play games repeatedly, and we play a lot of them, we end up finding similar problems to fix with similar situation and similar tools to pull it off. So it becomes a second nature, and it becomes very familiar as an experience, which is a good thing in an extent, but for once in a while, it's cool to bring something new to the table.
Sure.
So bringing the hacking in there cannot just be, oh, here's a hacking mission, do it that way. If you do that, then you're just putting hacking in a vacuum, separately from the other situation people are used to face.
Gotcha.
What you want to do is bring a situation where the player has new tools in his head that he considers. So as the game progresses, the player gets more and more of those skills, and that gives him the ability to progressively get in that state of mind where he has to make a decision in 1 second to survive. But this time around, he considers completely different options. This is only at this point that you can achieve something where the player can put the controller down and say, wow, it really felt different.
Yeah.
You know?
So you're talking about that last moment stuff, and there's got to be a difference in the amount of time it takes me to shoot a gun and the amount of time it takes to hack something. Let's talk about the hacking systems. People were kind of interested in how all that's going to work, and you just talked on stage a little bit about you decided to go with like a one-button hacking system for all devices.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that choice.
It's a very important thing to be able to bring hacking to the end of the player as a possibility all the time. It goes along with what I said before. If you don't want to put a hacking in a vacuum in terms of experience, it needs to be available all the time. You cannot ask a player to do some kind of complicated inputs or mini game to hack something while he's driving a car in 200 miles per hour and he has 6 other cars that want to kill him. If you have that situation happening, you play test it.
That's not the time you want to be twisting pipes on a grid, right?
Exactly, yeah, those kind of stuff. So like, I mean, we have those kind of mini game in a very specific, like more secured area because it brings some nice twist to it. But the real element of hacking is access, right? Like you have a bunch of smart people in our cosmogony that will bring, you know, like those hacking skills to you so you can actually use those devices and just point and do it. Whatever you're driving, standing still, hacking to a camera and hacking from there, it needs to be everywhere for the player to enjoy.
Let's talk a little bit about traversal. Aiden seems to be a very, very mobile guy. You're definitely getting a lot of shades of almost Assassin's Creed level of mobility. Is he kind of on par with that? Is he like Ezio level parkour, or?
He's definitely not that kind of ninja who can climb everywhere. He's a different kind of athletic guy. Like he can move very agilely into the environment. He can climb elements for a very simple reason. Again, it's not about. Of course, it's cool to be Ubisoft Montreal and having people who knows how to do that. So you can sit down with them, like do it your way, make sure it fits with Watch Dogs. But every time you put a dynamic in a game, you need to know why. You need to feel like it's filling a need for the player to enjoy it. If you're in an open world and you're in the middle of a fight that is completely emergent, that's out of control, and you need to improvise in front of it, imagine how it would feel if you had to go around every car and avoid every little objects here and there. It feels terrible, and you don't feel like a cool guy. You don't feel like you can express yourself properly. So it's very important you can take cover on anything, including dynamic objects. So if you create a car crash, it might just be to create cover for you. So you can actually hide and start fighting back. You need to be able to vault over, run, slide, climb fences without effort. Or else, there's too much going on and you cannot express
You have to be a video game character. You have to be a video game hero.
You have to feel those skills. So that's why we put it in there. Then having Assassin's Creed in the corner helps because you can understand what works, what doesn't work, and also how to code it properly so it feels right.
So talking about all these choices, you're talking about your hacking and your action and your traversal. Aiden seems like a dude who's really good at everything. How did Aiden get this good? What is Aiden's story? Why can he do these things?
Well, Aiden is a pretty shady past. Like, he's definitely born in violence, grew up in the dirty streets of Chicago, and he have an interesting background family. I'm not going to say too much about it because I think there's an interest for the player to discover those elements progressively. And also, it's kind of neat to not overly explain all of those stuffs too fast.
Yeah.
But Aiden has seen a lot of stuff in his life, and definitely his skills come from somewhere, I'll say it that way.
Let's also talk about the way these skills are going to be expressed in terms of progression, in terms of leveling up.
Yeah.
Obviously, your hacking skills are going to get better as you go. Your fighting skills are going to get better as you go. Can you talk about how those, is it kind of a skill tree system?
Yeah, there's a skill tree system. There's a system of perks for like progressing into his navigation, those kind of stuff, shooting. There's also all the weapons, which is a classic. But then the most important one is the technology, the hacking, and all of that stuff. So this one, you start by working in the world, making sure that you get connected to your system. So we have this thing called the grid, right? So you have an awesome, beautiful way of visualizing the data flow of Chicago. So you need to physically go to certain places, break in, install backdoor access to it, so you can have one of those toolkits that gives you permanent access to everything around you. And once you did that into a district, now you start having connectivity in that district. That's the first part, how you get connected to the entire city. The second part is the pure tech skill tree, where when you progress in the game, do side activities, main mission, you get tech points, and you can actually exchange that with a group called DefSec that we're not going to talk about too much today. That is our group of hackers. Sorry about that. Those guys are pretty smart, and you end up like exchanging for those kinds of tools. So you can choose which one you want in each order. So this little RPG element, which is very important for the kind of game we're making to have, is indeed in there. So you can progressively understand how those things work, choose the one you like, and then start expressing yourself with that.
Yeah, so at PAX last year, we saw, and also today, we've seen more and more of your companion app integration. We've seen people can go into your game and help you. You can go into your game, you can go into somebody else's game and mess with them. How much, you obviously want to keep a balance. You obviously want somebody to have their own Watch Dogs experience.
Absolutely, yeah.
How much does the companion app figure in? How much does your game affect? How much is somebody else allowed to affect your game?
It's pretty simple actually. Like, it's a completely player-centric element. Like, first of all, when you ask for help, you ask for help, right? Like, if you don't want to ask for help, you don't press a button. Never going to happen. So, like, it's up to the player to decide whether he wants something to help, someone to help him or not. That's one part. When someone challenges you through a mobile device, it's the same principle. The mobile device guy challenge you. You receive one opportunity of activity. So it blends in with the rest of the free roaming activity in the game. So it's not like popping all the time. It's just like, feels like the rest of the stuff. If you accept it, then he gets there, he's the one controlling the chopper, he's the one spawning the cops, and good luck, right? You're trying to win against them. And if you win, then it fades back out and you're back into your experience. So, you know, going to do a side mission or going to deal with a guy like that is pretty much at the same level in our game. So it remains something the player control. It's the same thing we do with, you know, this ability to have two console player merge together and hack each other. So this invasion is completely player-centric.
Very cool. With regards to the traffic intersection demo last year, helping T-Bone out of the apartment this year, we saw the traffic intersection twice. We saw an action way, we saw a hacking way. Today, we only saw T-Bone get out through the hacking of cameras and helping. Could I have done something different with that T-Bone mission?
Oh yeah.
Could we have blasted our way out of that apartment building?
Absolutely.
And is that the way it's going to be with every mission in the game?
Yes.
Or?
Yes.
Wow.
Like, you always have those options, and you can be smart about it, right? Like, you can apprehend a situation. You can prepare for the cops if you want. Like, you can craft your own tool, explosives. You can prepare the cameras, spot the cameras where they're pointing. So with the camera, what's cool is you can be at one place and then at several places at once. So you could imagine, for example, like hearing the cops, creating accidents all around the area, get the fuck out with like T-Bone, and just leave. Like, all of those stuffs are possible. And I think the fun is there for the player to start feeling smart themselves.
As somebody, you know, when you're designing a game like this, though, don't you want people to lean towards the hacking? Isn't the hacking the kind of the interesting new thing in the game?
Yes, but you know, there's no point in. I call that pressing the lemon. You know, like when you start pressing too hard on an idea to force the player to go there, it doesn't really work. I think the real way of doing it is you're either acting extremely useful in the challenge you're going to present to the player. And the real challenge for a designer is not doing a new idea. Like, you know, hacking everything is a great idea and it's very hard to execute, but even when it works and everything is in the game, the real job of a designer is to bring every player to consider it and to use them. Because if they drop them in a situation with a gun, the reality is even if he says, no, I want to do something different, they end up and their brain is like, yeah, that's sufficient. Let's go with that. I want to win. And that's not a critique I'm doing. It's just normal human behavior. So what we have to do is teach this new language to the player, right? It's like, I like to see a game like an instrument. Like it's almost like we're not a rock star on the stage showing something to the player. We're building a guitar. The rock star is the player. So our job is to teach music to that guy. Like he needs to know that he can do those kinds of things and those kinds of notes. If he doesn't know about them, it's gonna take him a very long time to discover them. So it's our responsibility to make it useful for them so they can actually use it.
You want to get them to the point. You want to teach them so the next time they get in that situation, that reflex action isn't necessarily the gun they've always
Exactly, and there's a way to do that by presenting a problem instead of having like pop-up text on screen and stuff like that all the time. I think the best way to do it is to bring the player to experiment with the situation. It doesn't mean sometimes that he's not going to arrive like in front of a door with a window. Oh shit, I cannot get past the door. Oh, there's a camera through the window. And now you're like, okay, you figured it out. It was a kind of a forced hidden thing. But you have to bring the player to do those things, enjoy those things, and then afterwards you let him free. If he refuses to use it, don't force the thing out too much. Like you respect the player. Let him play the game he wants to play.
Very cool. So I heard that there is potentially some cool stuff if you grab Watch Dogs on a PlayStation console.
Yeah, there are extra stuff like extra skins and also 1 hour of content and side missions in there. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, Jonathan, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you
the
very
game
much.
looks amazing. Like I said, one of my favorites of the show for sure.
It.
As we showed you earlier, the GT6 Academy competition is happening here at E3, and tomorrow they are going to crown a winner right here in the PlayStation exhibit booth. Here's a look at yesterday's Day 1 competition highlights.
Oh, I come to this every year. I've been here ever since it's been here.
So you can see how you're ranking.
Got our upshift, downshift.
First, you just push the triangle button on.
Oh, here we go. Awesome. All right. I think I've embarrassed myself enough. I went off the road like 5 times.
I usually don't race in heels.
I'm gonna get the game and get the steering wheel. Come back next year.
Okay, baby. Hug that road. Trying to get into those curves, in and out of those curves, is kind of hard.
It's hard. But it was a lot of fun.
It's like they were cones. There could have been people. This is real in comparison to what GT5 is.
Just gonna get back in line and kind of work my time down.
I love GT. I think it's an awesome series.
I need a little bit smoother. I need to attack the corners a little bit harder. I think I'll definitely be at the top. GT6, baby, 2013. You gotta get it.
I'll be back tomorrow morning.
PlayStation.